Hello, and welcome to R&R's Real Stories in Restoration. This subseries of our Ask the Expert podcast shares the stories of the people in restoration and remediation from all corners and levels of the industry. I'm your host, Valerie King, R&R's editor in chief, and I'm thrilled to be joined today by Ivan and Karina Oliver, husband and wife owners of PuroClean of San Antonio Northwest. Now, earlier this year, during PuroClean's annual international convention, Ivan and Karina were named PuroClean Franchise of the Year. This award recognizes the PuroClean business that achieved the highest ranking in over 12 criteria, including sales growth, brand excellence, and profitability, just to name a few. The Olivers relocated to the US from Mexico in 2010 to follow their entrepreneurial dream and create new opportunities for their family. So we invited them on to share that story with us. Thank you so much for joining me, Ivan and Karina, and a huge belated congratulations on being named PuroClean Franchise of the Year.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you so
having us.
much. Thank you for having us. Amazing introduction. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm excited to dive into your story. So let's start with the backstory. Could you start by sharing your path to restoration, including what you were doing before you joined the industry, and then what led you here?
Well, we are both engineers by degree, and we work for large corporations. Medical devices was the trade that I was working when we relocated to United States. That just dives into a little bit of why we're sitting where we sit today. We moved to United States, as you mentioned, in 2010, and we ended up purchasing our first home ever in November of that year. We went home for the holidays and um, spent a good time with family. Came back to home to find out that our furnace failed at our home, and a cold wave from Canada hit the area, causing the whole house to be frozen. So we got the furnace on, and the end result was 17 pipes busted all over the house and destroying a good chunk of our house. So we were a little lost on the situation, because if you think about it, we were brand new to the country, brand new to the city, brand new to the job, no friends to rely on. So in a way, the only resort that I had was my boss back in the day, and I said, "This is what's going on. Probably gonna need some time off to get things figured out." And he said to me, "Call your insurance." And in a way, I was unfamiliar with the water restoration process and the repair side. And our adjuster reached out, got a company out there. We went through the entire process. In a way, I will say it wasn't necessarily the experience I would have hoped, especially being unfamiliar with the system as a whole. So, anyways, few years later, my wife and I always, even before the time, we always knew that we wanted to be business owners at some point in our lives. And as we grew as a family, and I grew in the organizations here in the United States, we thought it would be time to capitalize on that dream that we always had. So we started looking for business opportunities, and among all the offerings that we had in place, we gravitated towards PuroClean, especially because um, we were a customer at some point, but also we absolutely love the business proposition, which is serving people in time of need.
Wow, that is a great story. I didn't realize that it started off with you having your own loss, and learning about this realm that so many of us don't think about until something happens to us or if we work in the industry. All right, so fast forward to today about your PuroClean franchise, PuroClean of San Antonio Northwest. Can you talk a little bit about the evolution of the business? Talking, when you opened the franchise, what it was like in the early days, and how that compares to now.
But I have to start by saying that it's been just an incredible journey, seeing where we started, where we sit today. As a matter of fact, today, November 1st, 2021, is 4 exact years when we started all our marketing efforts. And in a way, Valerie, we started with lots of fears, with the unknown, although we knew that we were backed up by a proven system and with a franchise system. there was a lot of fear. So that being said, we decided to go conservative, and my wife and I were running the operations back in the day, where she will focus on the admin side and the marketing efforts, and I will join on the marketing efforts, but run the production, because we were still parents of two kids and we needed to take care of our children, trying to start up a business with the uncertainty. So we were really busy, but we had a lot of faith that the business will eventually take off. So we really put a lot of energy, effort on the right direction. And if you look at the business as it stands 4 years later, um, I will say we're like probably 500 times bigger than where we started sales wise. And now when it comes to the staff, we are blessed to have 20 22 people in our team that runs from the sales department, reconstruction team, mitigation team, office staff, and the people on the front line that are working hard to serve our customers at our best capacity.
That's awesome. A huge
And by the way,
congratulations on four years as we record this. And yeah, I think you may have something you could show us.
Look at that. Let's see if you can see it.
Love it. And tell us a little bit about this picture. When was this taken and what is that capturing?
that was uh, that was our beginnings, and this shows uh, us starting out of our
Mm,
garage and having all the equipment being delivered, and us working on unpacking. And of course my wife eventually say enough is enough, I need my garage back, and
please.
we have enough business volume that we could move to warehouse to warehouse to the facility that we're actually moving facilities to two times the size of the current facilities. It's a almost 8,000 square feet facility that is going to support our office and office staff in the operations field.
Very good. So very exciting times for you both. It sounds like though it's been a series of exciting times over these past 4 years and as you scaled. So I'm curious, you talked about your roles early on. Are they the same? What are your respective roles in the business today?
You want to take that?
Well, I do everything besides production.
And
Yes.
I run the operations team, and I mean we help each other on a way, like as good business partners. Like if someone is drowning, then the other one comes and help, and that strongly believe that's been the key for us succeeding in the workplace, and being married, and share responsibilities at home, share responsibilities at the business. So we just balance each other around the operations for the most part. She takes care of the admin part.
All right, I'd love to know, what is it like working together as a husband and wife team?
But I guess as you start a new adventure, you learn how to manage a relationship, but in a way, the workplace setting is a different ball game. For us, my wife really understood a facet of aggressiveness that she probably hadn't seen before, and I learned a facet of my wife that I haven't seen in our marriage. So I'm not here to say, or we're not here to say it was any easy to get started, but really have to really understand our operating ways and our styles at the workplace, that we have to go to through some training to really understand who we were at the workplace that is not the same at the house situation, and really understand to divide role responsibility and be respectful of each other, because we are here no longer husband and wife, we're here to get each other's back as partners. But it took a while, and it took some compromising, and it's just like in a way, like in a marriage, you have to give up a little bit and be respectful of each other's to be successful. So yeah, it took us a minute, but we got there.
Interesting. Go ahead.
Yeah, what it helps a lot too. I had a course in UTSA about leadership, and I learned how was my husband's personality talking about the business, because after, I think at that time 11 years of marriage, you think that you know the person, but in the business is another person. And that kind of education that I had just lead me to understand how was the way that he works and how was the way that I work. And we just share that information, and really it is better than a marriage counselor, which we never need that. But in the business it was so hard because it is another person that you are working with, and you have the same issues in the industry, and you have to take all these issues at home. So it was challenging. I think just the first year it was a little bit challenging, but gosh, it helps a lot, that kind of education. You need to speak out and ask for, what do I need to do in order to make this new baby about the business to work. And now it's, oh gosh, it's my pleasure, and I'm more in love with the to know this new businessman.
To follow up on that, I'm curious what it's like juggling the business with your family life as parents, as spouses, but also as business partners.
Well, I focus on my family. My family is first, honestly. I have two beautiful kids, and I need to work super hard, 3 hours, 4 hours when they're at school. And then I go back to home and I stay with them and I continue working afterwards, after they're at bedtime. It is hard, but I think that we're learning to manage everything, and sometimes we just need to continue working at home. And now the technology help us a lot, and after the COVID, I think the situation gets better because we discovered these tools that we can use, even Zoom like right now, or to learn to delegate and to trust more our people. I think that helped us a lot. And it was because of COVID, but helped us a lot with our family life too, to manage that kind of things. Well, I think so.
And just to add to that, that I guess I explained earlier in the interview that our growth has been like 500% compared to year one, which is a in a way ridiculous amount of growth. So the I guess you're asking work-life balance, and in a way has been a struggle in the first 3 years. But as we're going to year like through year number four, we have a staff in place that is giving us the opportunity to enjoy ourselves, take a 2 week vacation without being worried whether the business is going to survive or not. What my wife was also talking about is there's sometimes that there's late nights that are needed, and that's because people that are looking to be business owners. This is your baby. This is something that you're developing. You gotta make sure that you're engaged, but it takes time to get to the point that you're passing the baton over to the staff once they're fully trained and ready to go.
So, services, we haven't talked about those yet. What kind of services do you offer customers? And are you working with commercial, residential, both? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so in the restoration world, the core businesses that we have is water damage, fire damage, mold, and biohazard cleanup. But we also go a little bit beyond that, and we are called what they say a full service organization, meaning that we can go any removals of materials and clean up to the reconstruction part. And I think that customers absolutely love it because they witness the level of service that we have provided on the mitigation side, that they want to continue that relationship with the reconstruction side. And same with our insurance partners. They absolutely love our execution, understanding that we are fair on the business that we run, and the way we execute, and they absolutely like to see us delivering the same quality on both ends, mitigation and reconstruction.
Good to know. So, you talked about this before. Just want to be clear. Your team is how many at this point?
We're 22 people in the office.
Very good. And where is your new location going to be at?
It happens to be a couple blocks down. We were talking to a landlord, and it was pretty obvious that we were a little crowded over here at the office. And we say, hey, listen, like, I have a need, and the need is immediate because we are on the move, as our tagline,
Slogan.
yeah, slogan and tagline says on within PuroClean. We're on the move. We're looking to expand. We're looking to serve more customers, and in order to support that, we got a staff and train our people accordingly. So I said, "These are neat. What do you have in place?" And they offer us a facility up the street that it just works perfect.
So, are you located in the city of San Antonio? And in addition to that, where do you offer services?
We primarily focus on the city of San Antonio. We have good book of business here in the community. There's sometimes we make exceptions and go out there to areas where a partner or carrier is asking us to serve for a specific reason. So we're with them is just like a good marriage, and the good ones and the bad ones.
Well put. Okay, so now tell me about being named PuroClean Franchise of the Year this year. I'm curious, how does that feel and what was it like finding out?
It was a shocking moment. My wife didn't have the opportunity to go out there and receive the award. Eh, I honestly, it was unexpected. If I go back to the way it was presented, they talk about all these different businesses that were nominated for the award, and I look up. I remember looking up and hearing what who was nominated. We were the number four out of the five franchises being nominated, and then I looked for the fifth one, and I said, "No way." And I went back to my phone and kept working because I honestly,
Like, no way
I
that we
was, it
can
was
do
totally unexpected. So then hearing that it was from San Antonio, then I just felt like the ice bucket challenge right above me, right? I just couldn't believe it because um, we work hard. Uh, we focus on the customer. We don't necessarily focus on the sales aspect, and that's my advice for anyone joining the restoration business. You gotta focus on the customer first, and then everything follows. And that's the reason I was amazed that we were recognized, and it was a great feeling and accomplishment because that was not our primary goal to begin with.
Very cool. I'd love to dig deeper into that work that went into you being named Franchise of the Year. Can you tell me more about what you mean by putting the customer first? Some ways that you bring that to life in your organization.
Yes, this goes back to our beginnings here in the United States and the way that we were treated when we experience our own catastrophe, right? People are at distress, people are in need, and we are here to promote comfort, to promote hope, to provide a service and service from the heart out. We don't see our customers as necessarily as a transaction, but we see them as someone that is needing us in right at that moment, and we gotta try our best. Um, so there's times that something is not necessarily approved to be deployed for the specific situation on for the customer. We still have to do whatever is right for the customer, and you know what? Everything follows.
Wow. Is there anything else that you'd like to highlight in terms of accomplishments you are both most proud of over the last 4 years, in addition to putting the customer first and not making it purely transactional when you work with them?
Like, let me give you an example. We have a customer that she was diagnosed with cancer 2 weeks prior, her home getting caught on fire, and she was given very low chances of surviving. And I was working with them, and people sometimes they say, you know what, I'm just gonna cash out. I want to do it myself. I don't want to worry about it. So I thought this was a customer that were they were going to cash out. So I was talking to them. I was trying to get the project going. Um, and then I asked a question. I said, you know, I'm sorry, but I need to ask you a very critical question. And the critical question was, are you needed us to provide the service, or are you just thinking of doing it yourself? And I remember the lady looking at me straight at the eye and said to me, I would love for you to do the work. What I don't know is if I will be able to see it. So the lady survived. And the lady, we're due to go to their home next Saturday to celebrate her birthday. So, in a way, one of the greatest accomplishments, other than financials, is the availability of building a long-lasting relationship, other than customer that needs to pay us and move on.
Wow, that was amazing.
Another example is my wife and I ended up visiting a customer that they had water damage, and we repaired their house. The house looked amazing, and she did a little coffee
Oh, I have there too. It is a coaster, a handmade coaster,
handmade coaster. She did that for us, being thankful for what we did
crochet,
for her.
crochet coaster.
So in a way, as I said before, is more about is more than a transaction, or more about the financials. The financials do come, and you have to be mindful and thoughtful that you have a business to run, but you gotta focus on the community and focus on the customer first.
Yeah. It is a star, a 5 point star. And she said, it needs to be this because you are a 5 point star business. So that was so sweet. So sweet.
She did ask that I deserve a raise as well, which I haven't received, which is a separate conversation that
Yeah, she asked me to give him a raise. And I'm like, let me think about it.
That is
I.
so sweet. Wow. Yes, I love those stories. Thanks for sharing those. I know we talked a little bit about your growth earlier. Is there anything you'd like to add in terms of highlighting the growth you've experienced over the 4 years, and maybe even your growth strategy, kind of where you guys have focused when it comes to growth?
One of the amazing experiences has been the growth and the growing pains that definitely go with it, right? We've been in constant communication with our headquarters and understanding where our business need to be positioned and structured. And right now, what we're really working on is defining our teams, better defining our teams, better defining our procedures, better defining processes, because we want this to be an scalable, even more scalable business in a way. And we've been operating very close together. And as we keep growing, we need to divide responsibilities and more dedicated and focused people for different aspects. So that's where we're definitely putting our energy and efforts, better defining and hiring the right people for our staff to make sure that they continue that vision and culture that we have as a business of being good servants on the on the field.
Okay. Well, speaking of hiring and staffing and culture, of course, staffing is a really big challenge for many, many restoration contractors. I'm curious what your experience has been with finding and attracting and retaining talent. Is it a challenge for you? What's it been like?
I would be lying if I would say it's not a challenge, especially because of post-pandemic um, era, like what we are just it's just a new way of trying to find those key candidates. But I think that we've been fortunate enough to our referral source to be from word of mouth rather than traditional avenues such as platforms to hire people. So has it been a challenge? Yes and no, because people, as we are growing, we're putting out there what the business needs are. Then people are like, "Well, I have this person, or I have that person," and those people are being introduced to our core values, and we've been getting really positive feedback. And it's not that I'm trying to say it because we are the owners, but they do express a lot of gratitude and appreciation for the business environment that we operate in. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean we're perfect,
Mhm.
and we acknowledge that, but we're working every day as a team to be that business that we want to move towards.
Very cool. So it sounds like that whole human aspect of building real connections is kind of also happening when it comes to finding people and keeping them on staff. It sounds like you're working on the culture and the employee experience, and by doing that, they like working for you. They're happy to invite others to work for you. Is that accurate?
That is very
Yes.
accurate.
Very cool. Okay, so projects, field side, I'm excited to ask, what would you say your most memorable project has been thus far and what makes it memorable?
It's I'll share with you. I shared earlier on that the lady that had a health situation. We experienced another one. I will say about 6 weeks ago. Lady had lost the brother. 2 weeks later, lost um, the boyfriend, and then there was lightning that hit the house, and the place got caught on fire. Um, so it goes back to the fact that you're there to be assuring that everything will be all right, and we deliver on that commitment all throughout. uh, Got a very nice feedback from the customer to the insurance partner that we work with, and we keep following up, and you make that connection that you're starting to build that relationship that is not necessarily because of the project, but because we want to see that and nurture it for the years to come.
Wow. So, in all the work that you and your employees do, are there any tools or technology that you consider most important, whether it's the business side, the field side, or both?
So I will say that one of the key additions that we are adding is like how are we a better servant to the customer, to the carriers, and how are we a good steward among the team so that the communication flows uh, literally 360. So we've been working with technology to um, go out there to the job site. We capture the scope of work from day one, and the customer is being provided by the insurance what they are being owed, and also the insurance carrier in these cases had the availability to understand what the house looked like before we started any of the or work if demolition needed to take place. So we want to be fair both with both parties, and we are injecting that technology to be a better servant, but also that transferred over to our office staff to make sure that when it comes to the billing part, we are being accurate before we send out to our carrier for payment.
Thanks for sharing that. Good for our listeners and viewers to take note of. All right, so this is my favorite part always. As we near the end of the interview, let's talk takeaways. First, what would you say your biggest challenge is right now? Is it staffing or is it something else?
It's just the growth, I will say, and you cover the basics of where you stand, and then you keep growing because of building the reputation in the market is leading us to gain more work, and more work is different additions to the team, and in a way it's not easy to find the people, but then people come in and you need to train them, make sure they follow that culture. So I believe we're having a really good challenge in front of us, where the staffing is not necessarily the roadblock, it's just the growth, and injecting the right resources to support that growth and sustain the customer service, the relentless customer service that we shall deliver to every customer.
And what is the biggest lesson you'd say you've learned since diving into the restoration industry?
Yes, one of the biggest lesson, not necessarily I will say on on the restoration side, but just being a business owner is we should remove our fear factor, and really go in a positive outlook, be persistent, be hustler, and put the right energy on the right direction so that you're getting the right results. In our case, our energy was focused on, and is being, and it's gonna continue to be on the customer service, and that's been the engine and the motor of this business that has made us successful to where we stand today.
Well put. So, I'm curious what resources you both turn to for inspiration and education, whether it be podcasts and things you listen to, stuff you watch, things you read, associations. What are your resources?
Um, in my case, I have to be perfectly honest. I'm not necessarily a reader, so books is not necessarily my thing. It will probably gonna be my wife thing. For me, I rely on podcasts or any quick snapshots that I get through emails, um, uh, I'm really curious about like business culture, how to be a better version of ourselves, and how to keep people engaged and motivated to do their best every day.
You shared advice earlier about the importance of putting the customer first and dedicating your business to that customer experience. What advice would you give to those that are just kicking off their restoration businesses? Is it that? Is it something else?
For anyone starting a business of this kind, they need to really look into the real purpose and the business proposition. If you're coming into the business to make money and that's your primary goal, I strongly believe is probably going to lead you into the incorrect path and probably damage the business reputation. People joining the restoration business shall focus on understanding what are we really doing in the first place, and is take care of people's property, being respectful of their time, be respectful of their house, all together, and then everything shall follow. Like you focus on the right things.
Love that. All right, that brings me to my last question for you. What's ahead? What are your key objectives for the future of the business?
As I mentioned earlier today, we're experiencing more growth into our business, and there's still plenty of opportunity out there. We understand and recognize that. We want to make sure that we understand that strategy, that growth strategy, and make sure that the team is properly set up to sustain that. We in a way, wife and I can be the head of the business all day long, but we want to make sure that that customer experience is preserved and improved for the years to come. So there's definitely growth coming. We're just getting ready for it on the right way.
All right, this has been great. Before we go, is there anything you'd like to leave us with that I didn't ask you about yet?
Absolutely. There's something I would like to add, and that's something that my wife really taught me early on in the business. Is I was concerned or about our competitors, and I think this beautiful lady told me at some point, I think we're looking at the grown people when it comes to the competitor. We should be thinking that our competitor is ourselves on the years to come, and that's why I think our mindset change, and say, okay, who needs to be PuroClean of San Antonio Northwest on year number 4, and we look at it. We want to have one of the best or the best reputation in the marketplace, uh, in our community, um, and we want to deliver that exceptional customer service. So we look at that, we accomplish that, and now we are looking at ourselves in the next 5 years, and where do we need to be. So I think that was very wise for my wife to really put things in perspective, and don't get bogged down with the people that is around you. Just focus on your business, focus on the service, really think about what we're doing for the customers we're serving.
All right, well, that was a great way to end this interview. Thanks for sharing that perspective. Thank you so much for your time and insight, Ivan and Karina. Before we go, where can listeners go to connect with you both or learn more about your business, PuroClean of San Antonio Northwest?
They can go to our website. Our website is www.puroclean.com, um, /PSA dash TX, like PuroClean San Antonio dash TX, Texas.
Very good. All right, listeners and viewers, for more insights on restoration, remediation, and the people behind it all, visit our website, randrmagonline.com, Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. And if you haven't yet, be sure to follow the podcast to keep up with our latest episodes and give us a quick review and rating. We're also on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, so we invite you to follow us on social too. If you are interested in sharing your real story in restoration, no matter where you sit in the industry or the world or your level, please reach out to me at kingv@bmpmedia.com. This has been R&R's Real Stories in Restoration. Thank you so much for listening.